caught in the crossfire. It's caught in the
What's up, guys? Lance, the Obscure Movie Guy, coming to you once again with another fun-filled, fact-filled video that you probably won't care about, but we're going to do it anyways, trying to change the world one post at a time. Today's video is done in partnership with Indie Horror Junkie, so be sure to go to indiehorrorjunkie.com to check out all of their offerings. The latest issue of the Indie Horror Junkie magazine is currently available with Pitchfork Retreat on the cover, $5 for a downloadable PDF, $15 for a printable copy shipped straight to your door. The Indie Horror Junkie podcast is available every Wednesday night, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. New people to talk to, new stories to tell, new movies to go over. And then, of course, we've got the Indie Horror Junkie Film Festival coming to you in March of 2026 at MegaCon in Orlando. Submissions are still open, but not for very much longer. So if you have a horror feature film or a horror short you would like to see can get shown at the Indie Horror Junkie Film Festival, go to filmfreeway.com, look it up, or you can email them at indiehorrorjunkie@gmail.com. Now let's dive into today's video. A movie that we recently talked about with the writer and actor Lukas Hassel on episode 110 of the Indie Horror Junkie podcast. Today we're going to be talking about House of Abraham.
I am Abraham. Welcome to my house. I'm here to guide everyone with love, and if in the end anyone has a change of heart about what they came here for, that's absolutely fine. You all saw the bell outside. That is the bell of courage and support. When you are ready, you will ring it to gather the troops for your death.
Why are you doing this?
It's complicated.
What if I change my mind?
You won't. I saw you, by the way. I saw you trailing Abraham to his lodge. Why?
I am Abraham. Welcome to my house.
I don't know what the fuck you're after, but don't screw this up for the rest of us.
She's trouble.
I don't think anyone can leave.
Death is what I signed up for.
This is closure.
This man has been orchestrating people's deaths for decades.
My house means a lot to me. Why sabotage what I'm trying to do here? Tell me what I need to hear!
Say the word!
I salute your courage. I wish you happiness on the next leg of your journey. Life is not for everyone.
House of Abraham is a 2025 psychological thriller currently available on Amazon Prime, written by Lukas Hassel, starring Lukas Hassel, Natasha Henstridge, and Lynn Shay. It was directed by Lisa Belcher. Tells the story of a group of people that go to the House of Abraham to be assisted into the next life, if you will. Basically, people want to unalive themselves, and Abraham is here to lend a helping hand in any way that he can. From a fundamental standpoint, this movie is excellent. It's well written, it's well acted, it's well directed, the framing is good, the lighting is good, the audio is great. I wouldn't necessarily say it's horror. It does have a few aspects of horror, but it's more of a psychological thriller. And just some really interesting character arcs, and again, very well written by Lukas himself, who also plays Abraham in the film. Now, on the surface, we're talking about people that deal with depression, want to unalive themselves. Abraham is there to help. And on the surface, it kind of sounds like a Dr. Kevorkian type scenario. But the biggest difference between what Dr. Kevorkian did in real life and what Abraham does is that these are people that don't necessarily, they're not suffering from any physical ailments for the most part. Dr. Kevorkian, just to try and give some people some background for people that aren't familiar, was a real life doctor who would assist people in moving on to the next life. People that didn't want to live anymore because of their physical conditions. People that, for, just some examples that were very, very sick, stage 4 cancer, wasn't going to get better, paraplegic. There was a lot of scenarios in the whole Kevorkian case. But in this movie, for the most part, most of these people are not suffering from any of that stuff. They're relatively healthy, but it is some sort of depression that they're battling. You have one character that is there to move on because he was in a car accident and killed some kids, can't really live with himself. Another guy was a transgender guy. Which was actually played by a very real transgender actor named Marvel A. Rex. Did a great job. Really well written character. And there's actually a really good line in the movie that, despite being female to male, male female, the depression is still there. And that kind of struck a chord with me a little bit. But that was a really good performance and a really good story, or a really good character arc. And acted very well by an actual transgender actor. So props to them for that. So but the difference is that most of these people are dealing with depression more than anything else. There is a cameo by seasoned actor Gary Clark. He's not in the movie very long, but he is somebody that he's not currently suffering, but will be suffering from Alzheimer's in the very near future. So he doesn't want to have to go through that stuff and decides that he wants to go through with this. But for the most part, these are relatively healthy people at the House of Abraham that want to unalive themselves for one reason or another. And again, Abraham is there to assist in any way possible. Now, the beauty of the writing is that for pretty much the first act, the first third of the movie, you get to learn the characters, you get to learn Abraham, and you're not really sure if he's there to persuade them into doing this or to dissuade them from doing this. Is he there to help them along, or is he there to kind of talk them out of it? And you do get as you get deeper and deeper into the movie and deeper into some of these stories of these characters, you get to see a little bit more darkness come through, not only for the characters, but for Abraham himself and what his true intentions are. Now, aside from Lucas Hassel being the writer and starring in this, you also have a couple of big names in Natasha Henstridge playing Dee and Lynn Shay. Of course, we all know Natasha Henstridge from The Whole Nine Yards. Obviously, the Species franchise. Lynn Shay, people would be more familiar with from a more comedic standpoint. There's Something About Mary, Kingpin. She was also in the Insidious franchise. So there's a little bit of horror background there too, but she's also very much a very good comedic actress as well. So it was kind of cool to see her. I haven't necessarily seen the whole Insidious franchise, but I am very familiar with Something About Mary and Kingpin. And it was very cool to see the contrast in her acting between something that is something very comedic to something that is a bit darker. She basically plays the housemate to Abraham. She is there to assist Abraham with meals, cleanup, obviously the bodies. So it was kind of interesting to see her in a little bit darker tone, which isn't characteristic of her in real life, obviously, but it's not characteristic of a lot of the characters that she plays in film. So that was a nice contrast and a good performance from her. Natasha Henstridge, man, she still got it. She's badass. She is a great actress, always has been. And it was nice to see her in something. Her character probably is the most comprehensive character of all of the major players. She's there. You're not really sure why. She's there to unalive herself, but she seems kind of apprehensive about it. Kind of looking to see, what is the true motives behind Abraham, if he's there to persuade, dissuade. I don't want to give too much away in the way of the plot, but there is a couple of twists and turns along the way at the end of the film that sheds light on what the true nature of her character is and why she's there and what her motives are. So, but realistically, the most comprehensive and complete character of the bunch So one of the coolest aspects of the characters and the writing of the film is that in the beginning of the film, you've actually, you've got a handful of characters that are there for very dark reasons, stuff that they've done and stuff that they're going to do in the process of, leaving this world and moving on to the next, whatever the next may be. And then you also have like Abraham and then his housemate there, which are a little bit more lighthearted. They're there to help you. They're there to assist, make you as comfortable as possible through the weekend and through the process. And as the film goes on, we do lose some of these characters, but the ones that do stick around, you get to see them. They started in the dark and they're kind of, becoming more lighthearted and heading towards the light and, reversing how they feel about what's going on. Where on the other end of the spectrum, you have Abraham and his housemate who started off as these people that want to make you as comfortable as possible, make this as seamless as possible. And they seem to be getting darker and darker as the movie goes on. So you've got this kind of this polar shift between, these characters and their story arcs as the film goes on. And when you get into the third act, you really see how dark and demented some of these characters are and what the true nature of everything is. And as I say a lot, and I think a lot of people can agree with a lot of psychological thrillers and a lot of horror movies, it's often the human beings that are the biggest monsters in the world that we have to contend with. So, as I said earlier, we got to talk to Lucas Hassel on episode 110 of the Indie Horror Junkie podcast, which I highly recommend going back and watching, not just to learn a little bit more about this film, but to learn a little bit more about Lucas's filming process and acting process. He's a really interesting guy. He's very insightful, very knowledgeable. Started off as a theater actor, moved into TV and movies. And he has a lot of good things to say for anybody that's an aspiring writer or an aspiring actor. He is full of knowledge, and I would highly recommend going back to episode 110 of the Indie Horror Junkie podcast and watching it and just hearing some of the things that he has to say. Coincidentally, as well, Pitchfork Retreat, which is featured on the cover of the latest issue of Indie Horror Junkie magazine, he is in that as well, and it is starting to make its rounds coming 2026, the festival circuit, so be on the lookout for that. But currently, you can watch House of Abraham on Amazon Prime. I highly recommend going to check it out. It was a really good movie, really good psychological thriller that was a bit of an original storyline, an original take. And I commend Lucas for writing this story and coming up with it because I think he talked about this in the podcast, but he kind of knew that this was going to be a storyline that most major studios are going to steer away from. This isn't something that they're going to pursue. It's to them it's a bit taboo to talk about the unaliving of oneself, and they probably wouldn't have looked at it as a moneymaker. But he took the chance, wrote the script, and it became more than he anticipated as far as budgetary, as far as distribution. So, and I think and I say this a lot, independent filmmaking really is the last frontier for any type of original storyline. And this was a really good one that he came up with. A great story arc, great character arcs. And again, fundamentally, I mean, there's no audio issues. The framing is great. The pacing is good. It's a little slower in the beginning of the film, but I like the fact that you get a lot of this character building. So the pacing is a little slow, but as you get into the second and third act, it keeps accelerating. So there's no highs and lows in the pacing. You start off low and you get this steady increase in pacing, and it's just a really well executed film. So everybody involved: Lisa Belcher, Lucas Hassel, Natasha Henstridge, Lynn Shay, Marvel A. Rex. I mean, everybody involved did a great job. The acting was spot on, and there's some really, really good scenes in this film. I'm just going to say the swimming pool scene, amazing. Just the way it was shot, the subtext behind it, the music. I mean, it was just the swimming pool scene was amazing. It's going to be one of those scenes that makes this film stand out from a lot of other things. So, guys, check out House of Abraham, again available on Amazon Prime. Go back and watch episode 110 of the Indie Horror Junkie podcast to check out Lucas Hassel and everything that he had to say about the film and his career and the movie making process. And like, subscribe, and comment to my YouTube channel. Check me out on Instagram and Facebook. I'll see everybody in the next video.